I might have mixed up my gummy bears this morning. Woohoo! Well, all right then. I see you are back for more enlightenment. Yes. Or just something to pass the time with? Ooh, let's hope it's for the former and not for the latter, or the last one. So, in either case, welcome back to the return to the Perfumed Gardens with that head case among head case, my person, Rik Strange. But we got to do something before we get going today. I must say, I am compelled to say thank you to Jenny and Dave from the B-Sides, and then that's their channel, and it's since I don't know how to put this stuff on, the screen for you, it's BEA space SIDES, B-Sides. And they sent me some vinyl community love. They sent me a couple records. First one is the New Colony 6 Revelations, and it's a pop masterpiece from, I think, 68. This was 68. And then this one is a real unusual one. This is a band called Tin, and they're from like 1971, I believe. It's a gatefold. They're a lot like, I have to say, they're a lot like early Bee Gees before they got anywhere near the mid-70s. So like it'd be like more or less early 70s. Great vocals. There's another record, but we'll talk about that later. And get this mind blower! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Jenny is an artiste. Now, can you recognize the face in the clock? Well, it's Moi! Woohoo! I'm digging this. Unfortunately, it's not going to stay too much longer down here in the studio. It's going back to the house. Got a place for it on the wall. Woo, baby. And look it's already preset at the correct time. 4:20. Yeah, Nancy likes that time of day. Okie dokie. Let's set this over here and not damage it. So, let's see. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. That was really unexpected, but not unappreciated. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, where am I going now? Oh, let's see. I don't know. Thinking too much I am. I'm just out there. Last night was crazy town. Bridging the landscape of the past to come out in your present state of audio is no mean feat. But really, what blows my zocaloids is the pure massitivity of undiscovered tuners out there. I mean, like, we've been doing this now for like, what, 5.5 years, Nance?
6.
Maybe 6? I don't know. Time just flies by. Because I don't pay no attention. Everything is right here. It's all I need to worry about. Ooh. But in that 5.5, 6 years, we've only just cracked the lid on, the Pandora box of psychedelia rock from the 60s. And I mean, and then I've been getting into the early 70s a little bit because there's some cool stuff there. But, baby, there is just so much out there. So, for today's delight, we're going to do our first contestant, I should say. Unfortunately, she missed the bus on our last field trip to that wondrous land of female vocalists. Yeah, I forgot to tell her what time the bus was leaving, and unfortunately, poor Julie Driscoll, and that's her name, missed the bus. But anyway, we're going to do a little segment right now. Her name should sound familiar, for I spoke about her some time ago when I was talking about Brian Auger's Trinity. She had gotten into that band sometime in the mid-60s. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, what we're going to play for you is, this is a 45 that comes before that adventure with Brian, and this is like, it lands in early '67. You know, and with all those other Dolly Girl singers from pop English radio, you know. So let's just get out that spindle insert and plop this totally grooved out number, I Know You Love Me Not. Let's pop on down to Canterbury Street and shop these notes out. Hey, I'm one ready Teddy to talk about this young lady. Oh, and by the way, Miss Nancy reminded me that yesterday was International Women's Day. So I'm kind of catching up. You know, the last show was 2 weeks in advance of International Women's Month. So we're going to talk about some ladies for a minute or two. This is the LP that I pulled that from. It's a comp. And it's from, well, it's actually printed in New Jersey. Springboard International Recordos. It's a, you know, one-off deal. Kind of something you'd probably buy in the grocery store. Anyway, it's got a lot of her 45s on it. That's, oh, there goes the PG&E. Ah, can we stop for a minute? I gotta do a power change. Just sorry about that, kids. You know, you gotta pay the bill to keep the lights on. Anyway, this is another one of her records that, well, I should say, it is another one of her records, but this is where she was involved with Brian Auger, and they do a really crazed out version of Season of the Witch on here. I've got a couple other ones, but I didn't bring them all. But anyway, getting back to my story about Julie, you know, this genre of Brit pop, I get really cranked by these English birds from that timeline. Miss Driscoll, along with, there was Dusty Springfield, there was Lulu, there was Mary Hopkins, there was a young girl called Twinkle, that was her name, Twinkle. She was big in '65 and '66. You gotta check that lady out. She was a teenager at the time. That she toured with the Stones. She was kind of a big deal. Anyway, and then of course my favorite is P.P. Arnold. But oops, lost my way for a second there. Let's get back on the trail. Anyway, great tune before changing gears with Brian Auger. And, you know, it's nice. This one was really cheapola. You probably find this one digging. No problem. Now, that being said, man, what a day. Now coming through the bathroom window is a Long Island band in '65. They threw 4 singles out, hoping that something would stick on a wall, but it just wasn't going to happen until they got chased down in the last 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years. Now they have become a bigger fish in that early psych garage band pond. The problem was, before I mention their name, the problem was they were swimming against the tide of the R&B thing that was clogging the airways of the early 60s on Long Island radio. Quoting the guitarist Joe Dacco, here he goes, the local scene in Long Island was very top 40. If you wanted to play locally, you had to perform a lot of terrible music, which we refused to play. You know, yeah, man, I can dig that. They started out in '65, here we go, as the Chosen Few. They hit the studio, wow, courtesy of Joe's dad. I mean, wow, that was a cool dad to have. I mean, I guess Joe wrote all these tunes prior to even getting the band together. And the old man shelled out the moolah, and there they were. You know, at that point, their involvement is a mashup of Brit Invasion with surf beat, and all of that was going to be, you know, transformed to, get this, would be farther on down the road a few years, and the band would even change their name to Mystery Trend. Yeah, I think it was Mystery Trend. Well, I'll have to check on the way back. But anyway, we're going to play one of their 45s from '67. And this one is a cool cut. It's called Mystery Ship. And just sashay on down to my end of the pier and gaze into the abyss below. Plugging into that, I can understand why our rock explorers were shunned from the area hotspots. I mean, they were called the Mystic Tide. Now, whether I said that or not doesn't matter. I said Mystic Trend. Wrong. It was Mystic Tide. And there's the front cover. And the label. What's the label here? I don't know. Oh, it's, I don't know, number 86. Does that make any sense? Nothing makes any sense to me. But they give you a really cool insert that gives you a breakdown. This darker, moodier sound was not something those afraid to leave their safe haven of top 40 bilge was going to go anywhere with. This LP is a grouping, a comp of their 45s that they did and outtakes from their short time that they were around. Now, here's the deal now. Granted, the sound is not overly professionally done, but I gotta say, it's expected with a preview of what the sounds would turn into down the road. You know, I dig this one for its early, I don't know, I guess groundbreaking psych garage that would be blowing up all over the place shortly in '66 and '67. You know, another one that is getting heavy rotation around our house is this one. I like this record a lot. It is pretty crude. but it's more than just a garage band. They're teens, that's for sure. They were really straight-laced looking, you know, they had nice haircut, you know, and wore, you know, the Izots shirts.
Izots?
If Izots was around in
You
60s.
mean Izod?
Yeah, Izots.
Okay.
You know, with alligator?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shirt. Anyway, never owned one. Same thing with penny loafers. Ew! And white socks? Nah. I didn't really get into that look. Nope, anyway, there I go again. See, I did mix up my gummies this morning. Okay, our next cathartic experience comes by way of that swinging London psych sound. Oh, I mean, you know how I like that. When a band takes its name from a book about medieval witchcraft, well, darned if that doesn't tell you all you need to know. Here we go. They are the Dantalians' Chariot, whom before I have spoken about them before, because the only thing I could get my little greasy fingers on was their first 45, Madmen Running Through the Fields, which is a great 45. But, as luck would have it, I found their album. Now, let's see. Well, here's the deal. That Madman Running Through the Fields, that Gardner is only the tip of the mountain. Gummy!
What's with you today?
I don't know! Woo! Hey! That song, Gardner's, is, I guess I would say, it's only the tip of the mountains of Neptune, with this psychodrama collection from our guys. You know, these guys, these heads, they're far out guys. All these cuts from 1967 were rounded up and released originally in, I think it was 96. It was all the things that they were doing at that point in time. They did a lot of finished product, and I guess the record was put together and the record company said, what? And it never got put out. You know, there you go. There's the stiff shirts again with the Izots and the alligators making, you know, telling you, the man telling you what you're supposed to listen to. Forget that, buddy. Just take your stuffed shirt and hit down the road. So let's try a tab from this trippy LP. The cut is called World War III, and the said LP is Chariot Rising. Admittedly, you know, it's not a happy lyrical tune, you know, about bouncing around and daisies and daisy chains and all that. But this is one cool musical takeoff. So, head on into oblivion, and I'll see you on the other side.
Comes rain.
I'm finding a groove real quick here. It's kicking in. Anyway, you know, I love this oral landscape. It also veers, you know, it takes a left-hand turn and goes into that pastoral site that the Brits did so well with such zeitgeist. Is that right? Zeitgeist?
Zeitgeist.
Yeah, that too. Okay, here's the record. Let's look at the record. And this is our guy here. Wait a second, I'm looking for something here. Well, anyway, this is Zoot Mooney, and this, Andy Summers. Well, how about that? Cool.
Andy Summers?
Yeah, you know, that went into the police eventually down the road.
Yeah.
It comes with a great insert with some cool informazione on it. So let's talk about this. Oh dear, better leave it out before you screw it up. And it's also on the Gerson label. I think that's a German label, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was. Good quality, nice record. I say, well, here's the deal. I like these guys a lot, and I put these cats up against the British version of a Kaleidoscope. You know, everybody raves about their first album. I haven't gotten that one yet. Someday the record gods will bequeath it to me, but until that such time, I heard bits and pieces. Not bad. I'd like to hear the whole thing. The other band that I put it up against is that, I think, yeah, it was an English band. They were called Nirvana. And it's not, you know, Stinky Spirit, whatever the hell that, from Seattle. Teen.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, it smells like teenagers. Okay. I would put this record up against both of those because those are, you know, blockbusters in the world of the VC community. Some people really like those, and that's great. I haven't heard the Nirvana thing a whole lot. I heard some kind of, wow, am I drifting? Stop it. Well, anyway, no haters out there, please. Andy Summers, okay, here, let's talk about Andy Summers for a bit. Andy Summers does a sitar thing on some of the tunes, and wow, that drives this luxurious psychedelic marshmallow. Whew! Ooh. Yeah, it drives this marshmallow into a cool headspace. As a closing factoid about these guys, because I spoke a bunch about them when I talked about the 45, the band had all their equipment painted white. Get that. And they also dressed in these white mechanic jumpsuits because they had gotten a light show from America. And, you know, our light shows were different than the British light shows. You know, I'm not saying that they were... No, I am saying I like the American stuff better. You know, headlights and a bunch of other ones. Oh, what's my name? What's my name? Anyway.
Must be the time change.
It is. That explains everything. I'm 4 hours behind. Wow. Okay, I gotta move my clock. But not after this. We're only gonna go 12 hours. So, there we go. That must have been a really cool scene because they blended into some kind of a weirdness, and the music was coming out of the dark. It was cool. I can't. I saw there's a snapshot on them on stage with that, and that looks like a pretty hard time to pass up, man. You know. So, Nancy, do we got time for another slice?
We always have time, baby.
Well then, since you insist. These neo-psych madmen came out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in 1983. The group we will lay testament to are the Flaming Lips. And boy, I can vouch for that. I've had that condition before. I knew of these fuzzbots, but never took the time to partake of their form of insanity. I caught glimpses here and there, but I never bought anything. And then I saw them perform in LA I think it was, no, I didn't personally go. I saw them do a thing that you can rent or buy in 2014, and it was like the first George Fest, it was called, and it was a festival that became an annual thing for a bit of time, and it was a tribute to George Harrison's musical history. Doggone those lights! Okay, 1 second. I'll be back. Clap on, clap off. I had the clap. Oh, I mean, I had the clapper. Whoa, wee, whoa. They can take care of that stuff. Don't worry about it. That's in my past. It's all in my past. Ooh, did I divulge that? Sorry. Check out the movie and you'll see what I'm talking about these fuzzbots. I'm just drifting along today trying to make it work. Anyway, their take on George Harrison's It's All Too Much is a truly great tune. I mean, their version of it is pretty true to the original, but the way they put it together is like nutso. It's really cool. Now it's time to drop the stylus down on this LP, and it's called, the LP is called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, and it's from 2002. The takeoff point is called In the Morning of Magicians. So, you know what? I'll just see you on the way back. Bye. Now, if that ain't a soft landing on the moon, what is? Here's the record. Man, it's far out. It's got some, that's a gatefoldus, but that's not a continuation, it's just the back. There's the three members that make the deal. Of course, there's a big disastrous thing going on here with water damage, but you don't play the cover. Anyway, let's talk about this. You know, that particular song is quite a solar soundscape to nosh on, you know. It's almost ambient in its the way they present this thing. The LP itself is a total concept piece. And, you know, it works for me. I was shocked. The thing about the LP is that they are kind of like a pop, neo, psych, crazy, out of their head kind of bunch of guys that do, the band expands considerably when they play live, and with more members, and it's interesting to watch them. They're a visual bunch of knuckleheads. I found this particular record when I was crating, and it forced me to take it home. You know, the thing is the LP itself, well, any of their LPs are really going to be hard to find in the wild. But let me tell you about how I got this one. Hey, this thing only cost me $1, and I was told prior to purchasing it from the record guy It did have a slight skip, and it was kind of crackly, but I cleaned it up. It needs to be cleaned again. Maybe it'll even get a little better, but it's never overpowering. And the skip doesn't happen every time you play the record. It just, sometimes it's there, sometimes it ain't. Go figure. I didn't put it in there. I don't know how to get it out of there. But it was still worth $1. Here's a cool one. They did play out here last year in a place called Stern Grove. And it's like an amphitheater kind of a thing in Golden Gate Park. And they have a myriad of bands that come in over the summer, and then into, I think the last one is performing somewhere right prior to fall. But anyway, they show it on the tube live, which is really cool. But I gotta say, watching that performance that particular day was a bit underwhelming. You know, maybe they're just having a bad day, I don't know. But there's loads of live stuff on the YouTuber. I would recommend that you try to find them in the late 1990s. There's some stuff, I can't remember the name of that big honkin' outdoor festival that they have in England. Oh man, they have like about 3 days or 2 days or 1 day of
Glastonbury?
Glastonbury.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's it. Glastonbury. Glastonbury. You have some tea and crumpets for you there. Well, that's Scottish. Anyway, yeah, I got to work on that. There's some good stuff there, really. So I would say just go on the YouTuber and you can get a better impression of what's going on. Check them out. It's worth it. That, Gardeners, thankfully brings us to closing time, as you can tell by, oh, I love this clock, to the 4:20 that it is. Yay! It's like I've been on 4:20 for quite a while. Anyway, our backdrop LP was also provided by Jenny and Dave from B-Sides. And get this, it is the Perfumed Gardens. It's a rather sensuously sexual narration of this poem book, Gadzooks. And it's done by a woman named Chitra Neogi. Hey, I don't know. Here it is. Dial it in. Read it for yourself. Murder that one any way you feel fit. I can only do what I can do. Oh my. Listening to this is like, gets the burners going. It was released in those heady days of the 60s. Quite a zinger, baby, in 1967. This one was kind of a shockaroo, as opposed to what you can see now. Woo! So, adieu for today. Check out B-Sides one more time. I'm going to throw another punch in there. It's worth the trip. They just sort of show up out of nowhere, and they do a lot of live stuff, so you might be watching there. So sub them and check them out. So, oh, I want to thank, I got a few new subs. Thank you so much. Actually, we're well over 400. Ta-ta-ta! That's great. But then I lost a couple, but then I got a couple back. So who cares? Just keep dialing in whenever you can. I want to thank you for your time. You know, hey, look, stay the course. Kill the TV, and till the twain shall meet, remember, if it ain't obvious by now, it ought to be. We are all one. And I love you. Drop me a line, throw a rock through a window with a note, whatever. But be happy. Peace.